Hey guys, it's me again, and I am back here today to do two things actually. The original plan was to only do the first, but I realized that it was probably not going to be long enough to do a full video on the first topic. So it's two topics. The first is the top 10 bots from Khaotic Robotics. This is my personal opinion on who the 10 best robots of all time in his series were. And then I'm going to be talking through the 24 seeds in Series 15 of Robot Wars Great. So these are the 24 seeds which will be competing in Series 15 in the top 10 bots built by Khaotic Robotics. Number 10 is Metal Siege. For those of you that don't know, Metal Siege is a yellow and black Bronco flipper bot. The bot has in fact won a tournament, and I do feel like they got a bit lucky in that tournament. The bot is known for getting too cocky and going for too many Utas, but when it comes down to it, Metal Siege has had a lot of success on the channel. As I said, winning a tournament, but it also performed very well in its first tournament, Robot Chaos Season 1, making the top 4, I believe. And it also performed okay in Robot Chaos Season 2. Didn't quite make the playoffs, was one spot away from making the playoffs, so a bit unfortunate for it. And Robot Chaos Season 3 is the latest tournament they competed in. If I remember, yeah, that's correct. That's the latest tournament they competed in. Where they did, I know they made it to the top 16. I don't remember if they made it past it, but overall, the bot has definitely had a pretty good amount of success, and is definitely a competent machine, so I think it deserves 10th place. Next up is number 9, Bronco. Bronco is an interesting bot, considering we don't have all that much to judge it off of. Yes, it entered 3 separate tournaments, but it was all the Hexbug BattleBots tournaments. The first one was only, 6 bots? Yeah. And it was pretty much a shoo-in that Bronco was going to win. The second one was kind of similar. I feel most of the time they would be beating Blacksmith there in that final, 9 times out of 10, and Blacksmith, not that they didn't deserve the title, I think that most of the time, though, the winner would end up being Bronco. Then we get Hexbug Tournament, BattleBots Tournament Season 3. Where they crashed out in the top 16 to Ribot. Bronco is definitely a good bot. They have a better record than Metal Siege. The 2 bots, well, the 3 bots really, down towards the bottom of this list. They're all good bots. Every bot on this list is a really good bot. That's how they made it onto the list. But all 3 of these bottom bots are definitely interchangeable, I think. Bronco beats out Metal Siege because I feel like they've just had a larger amount of success and consistency. But they've also competed in less competitions, so I don't know. Number 8 is Reaper. Now, this one might surprise people, especially considering I just said that it was relatively close between him, Bronco, and Metal Siege, who would get 8th of all positions. But if you think about his performances, he's a really inconsistent bot. A lot of people say Reaper is a lot of people's favorite bots, I think, from what I've seen. A lot of people want him to do well, especially considering the amount of times he's gotten second. But when you think about it, Reaper's had a lot of the closest fights, I think, in a lot of the tournaments he's been in, and easily could have crashed out earlier in a lot of the tournaments that he's performed well in. Easily. Reaper is well driven, he's got a lot of pushing power, his weapon is good enough. But the factor that I think holds him back from going higher than this is that inconsistency. And the biggest factor, or the most obvious one, I guess, is Robot Chaos season 1, where he went 0-3. Say what you want, he did have some tough opponents, but that doesn't mean that much. Reaper should be performing better than that. Period. If he really is a high-tier bot. Yes, he won Robot Chaos Season 3, which is the largest tournament Khaotic Robotics has done, but that doesn't mean all that much to me. I mean, even looking at a lot of the finalists, there was a difference in it to me, if that makes sense, between who the champion could have been. Honestly, I felt like Robot Chaos Season 3 had one of the weakest top 4s in any of the competitions on Khaotic Robotics, if I'm being completely honest with you. Guys, so to me it doesn't mean that much that he won. And of course, the problem is always going to come with flippers, and compared to even a lot of the other spinners, like Cyclone and Havoc, this has always been a bigger problem than well, Cyclone's, I guess, the better example, but it's always been a much bigger problem to him, because Reaper's weapon is nowhere near the level of a lot of the spinners that compete nowadays. I know I'm saying a lot of bad things about Reaper, but Reaper is a good bot. The bot has one of the most well-rounded designs. I'm just trying to justify why I've put him so low, because I feel like a lot of people would put him in the top 5, or even top 3. So that's my justification. Number 7 is Blacksmith. Blacksmith is kind of a hard one to place, if we're completely honest here. Blacksmith has won 2 competitions, so by no means is Blacksmith a weak machine. But he's just... I don't know what to say about Blacksmith. He's a 2-time tournament champion. I can't not put him into this list when he's won 2 competitions. The first 2 Hexbug BattleBots competitions weren't the best competitions. I mean, considering the fact that when you come into them, you kind of know who's gonna win, considering the difference in quality between a lot of the Hexbug BattleBots, being Bronco at the top pretty clearly, and then Bite Force and Blacksmith being the only ones that stand all that much of a chance against him. But Blacksmith deserved his title run, and he also has had a number of pretty good performances. And on a better day, I'd argue he could have won the Contest of Champions. Maybe I'm losing my mind because of that, but with Pizza Time winning it, and also us seeing Blacksmith beat out Behemoth in the tag team finals, it would be between him and Snowblind in the final. And that would be a good fight to see, honestly, and could easily have gone either way. So for me, I just think that Blacksmith's performances have been a lot better and a lot more consistent than a lot of the other bots on this list. Namely Reaper for sure, Metal Siege a little bit. Metal Siege isn't the most consistent bot, but... And I gotta put him above Bronco, because he did beat out Bronco, technically, for that final of Hexbug BattleBots Tournament number 2. Number 6 is Frostburn. I think, if I remember correctly, Frostburn's overall bot record for fights has been 3-1. I'm not completely sure, but I believe that's what it was. Was it 3-1? And that's a pretty good record for an all-time record. A lot of people predicted Frostburn to win Robot Chaos Season 2, and let's be fair here, overall he was probably the best bot. His biggest weakness was the fact that he couldn't self-right, and what's a flipper gonna do to him when he's as long as he is? That was just kind of the proof there that he was one of the best. The draw he got against Snowblind, he was always gonna lose. Always. With a slow spin-up time facing a bot that can smother you as good as Snowblind can, especially with the original Snowblind. I'm not sure if the treaded Snowblind would be able to take out Frostburn as easily, but for sure Snowblind would have taken him out. It was just an unlucky draw, and had it gone differently, they would have definitely won Robot Chaos Season 2. And finished as an unbeaten bot for life. Definitely an interesting one to think about, isn't it? So, next, at number 5 is Stinger. Some people see Stinger as an undeserving champion. Personally, I don't. I think that their title run in the tournament that they ended up winning, which was the 300 subscriber tournament, was 100% deserved. And I can understand people saying that he doesn't deserve it because he did get saved by Behemoth a couple of times. But in reality, considering how well driven he was for the most part during that tournament, he clearly deserved the title more than Behemoth to me. He didn't do as well in Robot Chaos Season 2 as I believe he would have liked. And while Stinger has never really gone back to the heights that he had in that tournament, he is still definitely one of the best on the channel. And due to that tournament, we know what he can do when he reaches his full potential. Number 4 is Bite Force. Trust me, these top 4 are so incredibly interchangeable that it's not even funny. Bite Force won Hexbug BattleBots Tournament number 3. In reality, he kind of won Carnage Cup 1, because him and Cat King are essentially the same bot. But the big reason I put him here is because, if my memory serves correct, Bite Force never finished below a top 4 placement in a tournament. No, he did fall below that for the 50 subscriber tournament. He did. But I'm gonna be honest with you guys, I still feel like he deserves this spot. He's definitely one of the best bots on Khaotic Robotics channel. Without a doubt. One of the most consistently well-performing, and I think one of the only bots that's beaten him has been Cyclone, because he lost to him in the 50 sub tournament, and Cyclone also was the one that took him out in Robot Chaos Season 1. And if memory serves correct, that means half of Bite Force's losses have been to Cyclone. The others being to Blacksmith. Ooh. Or is that more than half? I don't know. But considering that it's been Cyclone as the main bot that's beaten him, and considering how Cyclone is definitely not aged well while Bite Force has stayed just as good, really proves to me that Bite Force deserves this spot, maybe even higher. Number 3 is Pizza Time. I feel like maybe people weren't expecting me to put Pizza Time this high, especially with my talk about consistency with the Reaper. And considering how Pizza Time is the king of inconsistency. And I understand that. I do, but he's a 2-time champion. And to me, both of those tournaments are ones that he should not have won. And that makes... Okay. Both of those tournaments... Here's what I mean by that. Neither of those tournaments were ones that, on paper, he should have won at all. The 50 subscriber tournament should not have gone to a Crusher. It should have gone to Cyclone, or Dietor maybe, or Blacksmith, or Bite Force. It should not have gone to Pizza Time. Contest of Champions. Out of all of them, who was the champion that you had written off the most? Mammoth. But other than that, who was the one you'd written off the most? Pizza Time. No one was predicting Pizza Time to win that title. Okay, I think one person did. 2 of them put him in the final. Out of how many viewers Khaotic Robotics channel has, how many subscribers they have, 2 people correctly guessed he was in the final. 1 person guessed he would win. He should not have won that competition. There were deadlier bots, more modern bots, more powerful bots. These 2 tournaments are the ones where Pizza Time showed up and said, I'm going to win. With inconsistency being a big factor in Pizza Time's life, you can definitely make the argument that he shouldn't be this high. Especially with me putting Reaper as low as I did. But I gotta say, the difference is Pizza Time shouldn't have done well in any tournament. He is one of the worst designs in Hexbug BattleBots, you would think, on paper. It's a wedge with a crusher. But the crusher is also round. What's that gonna do? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. So who exactly are you rooting for? Pizza Time? Or Reaper? For me, I'm gonna pick Pizza Time 10 times out of 10. In my opinion, Pizza Time deserves the bronze. Number 2, the second best robot on Khaotic Robotics channel is Ocean Man, the as of now unbeaten Carnage Cup Season 2 champion. Ocean Man's a pretty amazing bot, I'm not gonna lie. He was my prediction to win even before he got his new disc. While he was using the Lego one, I still figured he was gonna win it. Honestly. I think a lot of people... I don't think anyone wrote him off as a joke. I don't want to put it that way, but I don't think anyone really figured he was gonna win it. Other than me, I guess. Everyone said this was Havoc's cup. To me, though, this was always Ocean Man's. He's got one of the lowest wedges, if not the lowest wedge, I think we've seen on Khaotic Robotics channel. He's got a deadly weapon. I just really don't... I don't see Ocean Man losing for a little while here. But there is a reason he's in second, and that's because the number one bot is just so good. But before I reveal number one, I'm gonna go through some bots that didn't appear on this list that some people maybe think should have. First off, Behemoth. For a bot so many people love, I honestly find Behemoth overrated both on Khaotic Robotics channel and in real life. For a number of reasons, but that's for another day. The reason Behemoth isn't here is because both of its runs, well, all three of its runs, ended up being really lucky. All three of its good runs, I guess I should say. I should specify. First off, its first ever tournament, the 300 subscriber special. I honestly see them crashing out more top 16 8 times out of 10. Them making it to the final, I mean, both of our finalists proved themselves, but I feel like Behemoth had a lot more luck involved in making it as far as it did, and it could have easily lost much earlier in the competition. Then the one that it won, Robot Chaos Season 2. What do I have to say about that? Well, considering it's one of the first champions to win a tournament despite losing a battle, that really kind of shows it. Honestly, I can't, in my right mind, say Behemoth deserved this title. I don't know if it's me, but to me, it should have been Frostburn or Snowblind or even Reaper. I can't wrap my head around calling Behemoth the champion of this competition. And then there's the tag team one. Again, I just feel like their run to the final, and even the people voting for them to win, was just... It felt like a lot more of the people voting for Behemoth and Apex to win the tag team tournament were not giving their reasoning, and to me, that means that they were voting for their personal favorite, which is not the right decision. I don't know if it's me, but I can't really grasp why people seem to think this is one of his top tier bots. I understand it's a good bot, but in comparison to the other bots on this list, it just feels really weak, so that's why I decided not to put it on it. Next up is Cyclone, a bot I feel a lot of people are surprised that I haven't included. To me, their tournament win was not exactly earned. I don't know if that's the way to put it, but the tournament that they ended up winning featured 8 bots, and a good amount of them weren't all that great. I mean, Reaper and Pizza Time were there, but when those two don't show up, it's not the same. And that's another factor with my putting Reaper as low as I did, and honestly with me not putting Pizza Time at number 1. This is, like, showing up is definitely a big factor, and I just feel like Cyclone went from easily being number 2 or 3 on this list to easily not making this list in a span of a number of tournaments. I mean, it really feels like after Robot Chaos Season 1, it's just been like a downhill spiral for Cyclone. The bot's still deadly, but it no longer works to its advantage, it works to its disadvantage. So, for me, I can't, in my right mind, put him here. And the last one is Cat King. Of the 3 I've mentioned, Cat King might be the biggest surprise as to why I didn't put him here. Especially considering I predicted him to get 2nd in the Carnage Cup. Which, had he not been drawn against Ocean Man, he probably would have. But coming down to it, of the 3 I've mentioned, Cat King is probably the one that I would give, like, 11. Look, if it weren't for its below par Robot Chaos Season 3 performance, Cat King would easily make it onto this list. But that performance was just so meh. I think they ended 3-3. But it's just not exactly the type of performance I think most people are expecting from it, and it was really subpar to me. Look, Cat King was not my favorite bot during the Carnage Cup. To me, it did and still feels like a bit of a foregone conclusion that they were going to win it, considering they were pretty much the only wedge in the competition. So, I just felt like, yes, they're a really good bot, but they're not quite as good as a lot of these other bots. And now to unveil number 1. You guys probably know it if you watch this channel. Number 1 is Snowblind. Wow, this is almost half an hour long video. Snowblind has to be number 1. For me, it's impossible to not put him at number 1. I said that the top 4 of Robot Chaos Season 3 was one of the weakest top 4s in any of Khaotic Robotics tournaments. And I stick by that. Killer Crab really shouldn't have made it there, in my opinion. And to me is still not exactly a top tier bot. Hypershock's performance afterwards showed us that it's really not all that great of a machine. And we already talked about Reaper, who's definitely a top tier bot, but it's a very inconsistent one. Of them all, to me, Snowblind was easily the best. Had the drawn went differently, they would have gotten 2nd with ease. To me, they could easily beat Killer Crab and Hypershock. In the end, I feel like Reaper stepped up for that competition, and if they hadn't, Snowblind was gonna win it. Honestly, for me, Snowblind could have won most of the tournaments that it's entered. The random robot tournament, the first one we saw him use the treads, had to spin the wheeled one. I believe he would have won the competition. He was definitely working out some kinks with the treads. I think that's obvious. Snowblind was working out the kinks with those treads. I just had a voice crack. And him working out the kinks definitely helped when it came to him going into the next tournament he entered. And had he not been working out those kinks, he would have won that competition easily. On a day where all the champions in the Contest of Champions were performing at their normal level, Snowblind would have won. Snowblind could have won Robot Chaos Season 2, in my personal opinion. Had he taken out Reaper, which he probably could have, I don't think Behemoth would have been able to do all that much to him. To me, Snowblind has been the bot to root for. Every tournament he's in, I root for Snowblind. He's my pick to win. Every single time. Because he's the best. He is a bot that easily could be unbeaten right now. Easily. For me, he is the #1 Khaotic Robotics robot. Thank you guys for listening to me talk for half an hour. I honestly didn't think that this would take as long, so I'm gonna have to do me talking about the Series 15 seeds as a different video, I guess. And I will upload this one. If you disagree with me, put your top 10 in the comments. And if you made it this far, type the comment bacon. See ya.